We're live. That mic is hot. Kish, bro, I've been seeing on your Instagram that you're like a scratch golfer.
I told you I want to play Ryan Panetta one day.
You should do it.
I want to play. I'm a 4 handicap right now.
So. Oh, you'll beat him then.
Oh my God, you're a scrub, bro. 4 handicap? The heck?
Well, for as much as I play, I better be a 4 handicap. I'll put it that way.
When did you start?
What's up?
When did you start playing?
I've played my whole life.
Oh shit!
Never competitively, but just.
I've been playing like twice a week. Oh, maybe not that much. Like 1.5 if we averaged out since January, since I started. I shot like a 98 today.
It's not bad.
100 is actually pretty impressive when you don't when people kind of come into that sport. It's pretty
that's been
for just starting golf. Gino's good.
Wow. Yeah, I saw you guys were grinding out there. You even played Chandler a little bit too, no?
Yeah, I used to play a lot more. I've played kind of my whole life. Like my dad always had me playing since I was like 7, 8 years old. But I mean, dude, I never like am better than like a 85, but not usually worse than like a 90, 92. So
there's some nice courses in Georgia.
Dude, there are. Yeah. What about? I mean, Texas. I'm sure there's some nice courses out there too.
Oh, yeah, there's actually a little. Well, I mean, we could play they have the Houston Open one here, and we can play at any time. It's open to it's a public course, and you can play it for like $100.
Oh, that's super sick. That's sick. Yeah, I love it. Well, we'll talk about golf, I'm sure, in a little bit later. But guys, today we got Kish on. So Kish, we connected probably like 5 or 6 months ago. I think you had hit me up, and we ended up. You joined our mastermind, and you did a couple things, but you're already crushing it before you even joined us. So, man, like honestly, just your story is pretty crazy. So, if you want to just give us an intro, man, on it, and tell us a little bit about where you're at now, and then a little bit about when you started, and where you came from.
Yeah. Right now, we actually just moved to Houston, Texas, a couple months ago. I moved from Phoenix, Arizona, so. I would say the wholesaling capital-ish of real estate, but got out of there. It was a little bit quieter here, which I enjoy. But I live in Houston. We run a wholesale company. We strictly wholesale. We don't do anything else as of yet. I'm looking to do more this year, obviously, buy some rentals. But we currently have 4 full-time acquisitions, 2 in office here, and then 2 in Arizona. I had 2 in Arizona when I moved, so I just kept them, and now they work from home. We now have my girlfriend's actually our transaction coordinator. Her name's Natalie, and then we have a full-time disposition manager, which actually he actually just started on Monday, and he used to be my first acquisition guy ever. He just graduated high school last week, so now he's not going to college. He's coming on full-time, and he's my dispo guy. So decent-sized payroll, but we're slowly growing. And then,
I love it.
I'm here, boys, too. I'm just trying to get this thing figured out. I don't know what always happens to me.
This guy gets a nice camera, and it never works.
Yeah.
It worked the last couple
I'm telling you.
I don't know what happened.
You got the nicest setup out of all of us. We can't even see it.
Oh, shoot. You got me right there.
Look at that. Look at that double chin coming in hot.
It's underneath. The camera underneath ain't easy.
Dude, that's a good angle right there. But anyway, so Kish, you got a fully built out team, man. Like you're crushing it. So if I'm not wrong, like you were working at McDonald's like a year ago, is that right?
Yeah, a bit of a weird journey. I worked at McDonald's a year ago, February, March of last year. Honestly, I was at a weird time in my life. I just got out of a partnership with another wholesale guy in Georgia. He kind of just all of a sudden one day was like, I ain't doing this. And so he went to become a commercial broker. And I just was kind of, we had done for me at that time, it was a lot. I was not really doing much in Arizona. I was doing it for like 6 months. I joined him in Georgia, and that's how I learned about that market. And we did in about 2 months, 2.5, 3 months, I'd say we did around 200K. So like, it was like all of a sudden a lot. And then he just like left, and I was like, okay. I thought we worked really well. So it was kind of a weird point. Worked at McDonald's. Honestly, I did it just because I didn't know what else to do. And I've always done YouTube. So I filmed my whole experience. weird enough, it kind of blew up and I kind of went viral for it. So,
so you're saying that you just went back to McDonald's pretty much for the fucking the video
for
like,
the content?
Literally for the content. Yeah. Cause I was like, bro, this is such a good idea. It's going to blow. This is what YouTube's made for. This is why people make videos. And I had done YouTube for like 2 years before that. So I had like 10,000 subscribers or something. So it was obviously not related to McDonald's people that wanted to see it, but I did it. And then I think like they have like a couple 100,000 views right now. And so that I went on like Snapchat Spotlight. I got all these like, like LAD Bible, like they all hit me up and posted.
Yeah.
So now I'm unfortunately known as the guy that worked at McDonald's, which wasn't the goal, but
So I haven't seen the video, but what was the content idea? Like, walk us through this, because like I find it fascinating for viral content. I love it.
Yeah, so I was like, I filmed my whole experience all the way from applying to McDonald's. I filmed undercover my interview. I brought a GoPro into the McDonald's. I would put it up in like weird corners where nobody could see it, and I would do like kind of B-roll and talk about my experience. And it's just like nobody really knows what it's like most people don't work there unless they're like 15. And so I filmed the whole experience and people ate it up. And now every day I get like probably like 10 or 20 comments of some like 15, 16-year-old. I'm so nervous. Thank you for doing it. I'm going to apply. And I'm like, kind of worked out. And now they go to my channel and I'm talking about wholesale real estate. They probably think I'm like weird, but so I made some good money from it. It was an experience, but yeah, that was only about a year ago.
So what was you were doing it February, March. So what made you, I guess, quit? I know it was for the content, but what was the next steps in your journey?
Yeah, I figured I know from being in Georgia with that guy, I knew too much and I saw an opportunity in that market at that time. It just felt like I could send 20,000 texts and I'd make $100,000. It kind of felt like at that time. So I just went back into it. I was cold texting, and then I call them up, and I think I was sending maybe 500 texts a day, and I would just do that working at home. So, and then so then I started getting a couple deals via that way, and then the whole hedge funds came around, and I got an office. It was only like 220 square feet or something, and then last year it was just me. I had between 2 and 3 cold callers. Bladen, who's my acquisition guy, he was in and out, but we did with that team just under $500,000.
Heck yeah. Nice.
So closer to 400,000 in assignments. So
let's hear about that then. So like take us back month by month. So you stop in like April around then?
Yeah, April.
McDonald's, and then you start up the wholesaling. How did you start it? You texting, you mentioned, but
I was texting using REI Reply for a little bit. I was just doing it. I wasn't really taking it serious. I was just kind of doing it, hoping I'd get like one 10K deal, and I did. Built up the pipeline, and then, it was probably, I think I officially started my LLC in June of last year, and then I think I got the office in August. And so from there on, that's when it really kind of took off, is when I got the office. I could go somewhere every day. And that was a big thing for me, of like getting out of the house. And it just
having that dedicated workspace to go and just grind.
Well, yeah. And there was 2 other wholesale companies in that office space. So it was like, I was just around people that were doing it all day, every day. Cool experience.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, it definitely push you to do more,
Yeah.
You are competing in the whole 9.
Yeah.
So dude, so you said you got the office. Like, did you start bringing on new people, or was it the competition, or did you just what was kind of that turning point around the office time period for you?
Honestly, it wasn't. I just started, that's when I hired a couple cold callers. I got out of texting, and I was actually out of texting and calling. And so I added 2-3 VAs. Turnover rate's crazy. So it was always kind of going up and down. But believe it or not, the 2 VAs that started with me are still my callers, my best 2 callers today. And so it was at a point where we would get a lead. I'd get maybe 10 leads a day, 15 leads. They would get a lot at that time in Georgia. And we would there'd be a difference of like 40K in ARV in the spread, and I'd lock it up and I'd still make like 25K. And so in my experience, it was just like really easy at that time with hedge funds. And I'd say I got into it earlier than most people or knew about it because I was dabbling with it. And there's companies like Tiber and Amherst, and they were just being super aggressive. 70K repairs, I don't care, buy it. I'm not going to terminate, no contingencies. And we'd close on it. I could buy with tenants in it. I could buy post occupancy for 6 months. They didn't really care. And so I just took advantage of that time. Looking back at it, I probably should have, I had the money. I should have just got like 10 cold callers at that time. It would have been a lot for me and just pounded it. And I probably could have done $1 million in that time because I know people that did it that much in that time, but
yeah, what it is. Hindsight's 2020, which is always good to take a look back. Yeah. So I think what are you doing right now? I think you said you had 22 active, right?
So callers?
Or I think an escrow.
Oh,
deals.
Yeah, we have 21. We have 22 callers. That's why I was asking that. So kind of going up and down.
22 cold callers.
Yeah, we have 21 deals in escrow right now. Not everyone's going to close. Some of them are in some weird spots, but currently we're doing Atlanta, Jacksonville, Orlando, and then Houston. So Houston's been kind of a weird one for us. I did it because I live here and I do YouTube. I wanted to do acquisition appointments, and I haven't done my own market in a long time, and it's a decent market. So trying to figure it out. We didn't realize that offers need to be a little bit lower because of property taxes here, and that eats away at their yield for like these rental companies. So same offer property in Georgia would probably go 20K more. So we're just adjusting to it. But yeah, so I'm pretty thankful I brought on the Dispo guy because 21 deals for just me was kind of aggressive. So
21 deals for anyone's aggressive.
Yeah.
Very aggressive, right? So break it down, like what caused you, because other people, guys, if you're watching too, feel free to leave some questions in here so we can go talk with Kish and, ask him how he's been doing this for the last year and a half. But
obviously he's done it pretty well virtually.
What drove you to like have the thought of, hey, let's go to these different markets and let's go instead of honing in on one? Like, what was your thought process?
Yeah, so I built my business, which is maybe a little bit different than most people. I don't pull niche lists. I don't try to go towards a specific person. I just go. We built our business based on the time we started off of hedge funds. So we worked backwards, and we would just all our data was pulled based off of that. So the reason we went to the other markets was because I talked to the reps, and I'd ask, what markets are you being the most aggressive in? And a lot of the times it was always Florida and Georgia. So it was an easy transition to go into the markets that I'm in, especially like Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, just because 90% of the funds or buyers that were buying in Georgia bought there too. And most of the time they were even more aggressive in those other markets. So it was an easy addition. All I had to do was, when you go and reach for a buy box from a fund, they're going to give you every county, possibly zip codes, the bed bass, and it makes it super easy. So typically in these markets, I tried to find the most generic, biggest top 3 to 5 funds. And then typically all the small ones will buy within that, below it.
Gotcha.
And so that's how we pull most of our data. So
then you just take all those bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, zip code, all that information, and just plug it into your campaign and prop stream list, and then plug it into your cold call campaign.
Yeah. So I typically just get data from buddies in those markets, and I trade for Georgia and put it and we trade swap lists, and I just put it in the calling campaign. So I think right now we have almost 2 million records in our Zen call being called. So
you got a bunch.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that, the cold call. So you got 22 cold callers and you got 2 million records in Zen call. So like, what's kind of like your high level thought process on cold call, and like, let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of been my bread and butter. I would say I spend like an exponential of time more with my callers than most business owners in this space, just for the fact of, I think it's one of those things where my callers always have to be adapting. We try to do things that nobody else is doing, just in terms of like our script. Obviously, we're not saying things like out of the blue, like calling out of the blue. We're kind of doing a little bit with you guys, like kind of that negative approach in terms of like, I mean, why should we be speaking to you kind of approach with the cold calls? But I try to take them a little bit to the next step. A lot of people just try to qualify. I mean, we're always we do a daily meeting like we do with our acquisitions now, like which I learned from you guys. Like we do a daily meeting for 15 minutes every morning with our callers. We do a 15-minute meeting at the end of the call with our callers. They talk about their metrics. They talk about new objections that they're getting. So I kind of treat it like acquisitions, but we're always trying to improve something. We're always finding new ways to try to speak to homeowners. We're always getting new objections, and then we just try to take every opportunity to learn from it. So different from me is I've never gone through an agency for my cold callers. It's always been, we've done all our interviews. We've done everything like all in-house. We've trained them in-house. And so I'd say that's a little bit why we've seen success from it too, is a lot of people just try to push it out and you take care of the marketing, that agency, and there's no, I can get a KPI sheet at the end of the week or the end of the month, but there's no accountability to it. So
yeah, that's one of the most important things. We got a question from Ryan here.
Yep, Ryan.
What questions are your cold callers asked to qualify? Are they filtering out most people that just want an offer, or are you having them input as many leads as they can?
We try to make it generic. I mean, we'll follow the basic, TTP from as long as you can think. I mean, price, condition, timeline, and motivation. We got out of asking for the motivation a little bit, but again, we train our callers to an extent that I think most people don't, in the fact of, I mean, we're asking questions that instead of, I mean, why are you looking to sell the home? What's your motivation? We're going and asking, I mean, John, it sounds like you got a great property here. Why would you ever want, I mean, what would even make you think about selling this property? Obviously, we're an investment company. So what's piquing your interest here? We just try to talk to people a little bit more. Whereas like the average Filipino that's going to call is literally asking, what's your motivation?
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Gino.
I'll tell you what we do now, because we have so many lead managers. Obviously, it's going to depend on your team, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not, we don't have so many lead managers, but we're at 6 right now, right? And so with 6 lead managers, we can handle as many people to come in.
Yeah.
So we want our cold callers prospecting to as much people as possible, talking to as much people as possible. So we used to do, and I think that's what we talked about too, Kish, on our mentorship, is like we did, Brent Daniels stuff. We went in detail. We had our own script going over property condition, timeline, motivation, and price. Yeah. And now, reality is our cold call script's so much smaller. All it's asking people, are they interested in selling?
Yeah.
And they say yes. Do you have a price range you're looking to get? And just making sure it's not $100K over Zillow. And this, again, just for cold callers to get trained. If it's not, we're pushing them. And we'll let our lead managers worry about that. Right? We're just trying to get as much leads as possible, and we'll let the lead managers ask them more detailed questions about condition, timeline, motivation. Because so many, we can afford to do that, and like we'd rather have our lead managers be in the call qualifying them, right?
Yeah. So I've actually talked to somebody the other day, and they were doing the same thing, where I feel like a lot of people that are smart are trying to limit their cold callers on that, like what's their average call time with somebody. We used to do like 50K or less from the Zestimate. We just started noticing, like, as much as I want my guys to be touching every single person everybody's a potential deal at some point, in my opinion, but there's just a lot of tire kickers. I don't know, especially, do you feel like you're having just a lot of not qualified conversations when you're letting things come through that are 100K over?
Well, that's the thing. If they're 100K over, we're not letting them come through.
Well, even if they're 90K, right?
Yeah, 90K. So if they're 90K, one, Zestimate's never 100% accurate. So I'd rather them be pushed just in case. And 2, even asking so much, like you said, we want to keep these people in our system because we know timeline changes. The more people we can have in our lead management system, we know that this whole entire real estate game, and really any marketing game, is touching people as much as possible. And having that ability to do it. We know if they go to cold calling, they don't get pushed. They're not going to be touched as much as our auto drips and our follow-ups will be. And also, our lead managers are trained. Look, if this person isn't, you already know they're not a qualified lead in terms of being on the phone with them, you need to get out with them within, 4.5 minutes max. Right?
Yeah.
As long as we're limiting our calls to 4.5 minutes, them calling these people, it wouldn't, it's not hurting us as much as the potential to help us. Now, if they went on the phone for 20 minutes talking, them meaning the lead managers, wasted a bunch of times, and I would say we got to stop doing that, right?
Yeah, that's what I've kind of got in my head about what this business is all about, because some people will say it's a volume business and some people will say it's a conversion business. And I feel like there's kind of you need to have a fine line of both.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kish. Are you gonna keep going?
No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, kind of like my thought process on marketing is if someone says you're just building a database and clean, like your CRM, you're building an interested database. So as long as you can get, if you like this and this kind of piqued the reason why I like this idea of building a database in your CRM of like potential clients is because these big corporate companies, they literally hire people who let's just say AT&T, because it's a simple example that I can give. They hire people who go through their client base list to just cold call all day to upsell clients on bigger and better plans that they could potentially want. And so like what we're realizing, and again, not saying this is right or wrong, but what we're realizing is that when you have a massive database, let's say 10,000 records in your CRM of people who said, I'm interested in selling, even if it's more or less or whatever, you hire a lead manager, you can then hire an appointment setter, and then you're doing appointment generation instead of lead generation. And just by hiring another person in your database and calling them more frequently, you're just generating more appointments. And it's the same amount of appointments right now. As we additionally add more lead managers, they're getting the same amount of appointments, and there's no diminishing return. So we're working up to our database to find that diminishing return. But that's one of the things we're doing right now. So
I know you guys do that lead manager acquisition model really, really well. And we tried it. I might not be a good enough business owner to manage it, but we just couldn't do it. And I felt myself paying out too much on a deal when I didn't feel like there was that extra 8% or 6% didn't justify it. For us, maybe just because we're a smaller company, we don't have as many leads as somebody like your guys' company. But ever since we switched back just to the acquisitions, it almost felt like for us, it just, I didn't have to pay out it wasn't a crazy amount, but I just didn't have to pay out as much. Everybody was accountable for their own deal. And also my guys just felt like they were in control of everything, especially from a lead manager level. They kept having an issue of if that didn't close, that it wasn't on me. I did the appointment. You should have closed that deal, whatever. Because we did 3 lead managers, 1 acquisitions, and it felt like the acquisition guy felt like he had so much pressure on his shoulder to close it. Even though I know they knew in the back of their head that they didn't necessarily feel that could have been one. They were like, you know what? And obviously they didn't vocalize it, but I know in the back of their mind they were thinking about that. So
and also like from your point of view, like just taking another look at everything. If your main thing is more qualified leads from your cold callers, and now you said you're doing PPC, we just talked about, then like the acquisition like your cold callers are basically lead managers in a roundabout way. They're not giving as qualified appointments to your acquisition guys, but they're giving pretty qualified leads to them. And then PPC leads, I mean, we're having our TV and PPC go straight to our acquisition team too. And of course our best lead manager, but they're going to our acquisition team. So, I mean, like, I can't say that your model would not work. I think there's a reason why it works for you.
I think if we did it again, I'd explore trying to do lead managers outside of the U.S. Like I know you guys have somebody in like Bolivia or I don't know.
Peru.
Yeah, like obviously upper echelon of sales guys, but just maybe not in the U.S. And so they were 100% okay. Well, one, it was kind of a weird situation. My guys went from 10% to a lot less. So it's kind of like maybe if I hired somebody, but I don't know. It's worked for us right now, so we're going to keep running with it. But I know there's 100 ways you can run this company. Everybody does something different, right? So
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You just got to find what works for you and run with it. Obviously you're doing super well with what you're doing now. So I love it. So Kish, what are you working on now? Like, what's the next thing for y'all, wholesaling wise?
Well, one, we just added PPC, so that's a pretty big step for us. If it works, I would really love to see PPC be a big thing for us, just because, one, I really think let's say 1 in 10 of those would probably the conversion rate, you don't need as many leads, so I don't need as many people on the team in a sense. So I'm definitely looking, if I can spend $100,000 a month on PPC rather than micromanaging 25 cold callers, I would do that all day, right? So
do you manage the cold callers on your own?
So I don't. All I do is I pay them. That's the only thing I do.
Okay.
Other than that one caller that started with
22 people paying them.
Trust me, it's actually it takes a long time. Yeah. So
it does.
I've become a wise expert, let's just say. But yeah. So my initial cold caller from day one, her name's Apple. She manages every single one. She even goes out and hires them now. I don't even.
Nice.
I really don't know what goes on. I just make sure there's on a KPI level it's working. But she manages the meeting. She hires. She fires. She changes the phone numbers in the mornings. I mean.
Yeah. So she's that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lifesaver right there.
Yeah. I would be so stressed if I did.
It's like brain damage.
But I still get blown up in WhatsApp every day because I make sure I make everybody say logged in and logged out. So every morning at 9 a.m., ding, 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 ding. But other than that, I don't. And then every time they get a hot lead, they'll send it to me personally just because it's happened for so long. And I'll just put it in our Slack chat and I make sure somebody calls right away. But
did we answer this question too? I don't know if we did.
I don't think we did. What does your onboarding process look like for your dispo guy?
So mine was a little bit different than most people. My guy was my old acquisition guy. He's literally 18 years old. So he used to be my acquisition guy. Then he went. He had to quit because he was full-time baseball in high school, and now he graduated on Friday, and so he's not going to college. He's come work for me. So yeah,
I love it.
Heck yeah.
He's really good at it. So he's like the guy who got me all the hedge funds in that time anyway. Like he uses LinkedIn Premium. Like he knows everything.
Pretty good.
I was gonna say, like, this kid's like 17, 18.
Yeah, he's a stud for what he does. And so he already in the last 2 days we've been working together. We've been on like Google Meets for the past I'd say 12 hours of them. I think we've sold like 6 deals. So it's working. Awesome. So, but Dispo takes a surprisingly a long time, especially transaction coordination too, which I never really realized until we started getting a lot, and I felt like I was always behind.
Yeah,
dude, it's a lot of work.
yeah. So I'm pretty grateful I have him now.
Yeah, we got another question here.
Yeah.
From how much are you paying your cold callers, and how many leads are they pulling in each per day average?
Yeah, so cold callers are anywhere between $350 $8 an hour. So obviously 8's my top person. She does to manage 20 plus people. I tried to justify it a little bit more, but they get that plus they get $100 per deal closed that comes from them. And then I also do spiffs. So every week I try to do 2 things. One time in the Philippines, rice is a big thing. So one of my callers, actually their family owns a rice farm, and to the top caller we ship out rice, which is kind of different. Sick. And then the another day of the week we do just a competition. Most qualified leads gets $50, $75. So we do spiffs. That's how I also pay them. And then lead wise, every person has to average three a day. And if they don't meet that in 30 days, I kick them out. So
we try to keep on going.
Yeah. So it's actually helped us a lot, save a lot of money, just trying to be super aggressive with what we expect from them. But also we can't try to expect so much to the point where they're getting leads to get leads at the same time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's why you do qualified leads, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So Is it 3 qualified leads a day?
3 qualified leads a day.
And what is a qualified lead?
Just somebody that's motivated to sell and is for us, it's 30K above Zillow or less.
Gotcha.
So
whereas like most of your guys, are they getting like 4, 5, or is it like, are they hitting the 3?
I'd say the top person is probably getting around that 4 or 5, and then pretty much everybody else is 3, if not lower. But
yeah. Gotcha. Sweet. Are they from the Philippines, all of them, or South America? I'm just asking also.
A mix of Philippines and Mexico.
Okay.
So Mexico, I start at $5 an hour.
Got it. Ryan, what does your dispo process look like now? Still fund-based? Any mass blasting?
That's a good question. So this is like what I'm working on, right? Like this is what I'm trying to get really good at, especially joining things like Collective Genius. Like this is what I'm going to learn, trying to figure out is a good dispo process. But for the past like year, all I've done was, we have a Google spreadsheet of, now we have a little bit over 220 companies / funds that we reach out to. So that's all I spent my time on was dispo the past 6 months. So and I just did it on LinkedIn, by the way. But we have that. I go through the spreadsheet. Whoever fits in the buy box, I'll send them an email, and I usually get an offer in the first like 5 emails. And so that was my dispo process for a while. And then now we're trying to make it more structured, especially with the dispo guy. Every time a property comes in to whiteboard, my dispo guy reaches out within the first 24 hours to get pictures from the seller. If not, we're sending somebody out there. Then we're exploring our different options. Either we're going to send it out to that. We're probably going to buy Investor Lift. I've been thinking about it, just maybe doing it. And I would love to hear your guys' opinion on it. I know you guys had tried to dabble with it or just bought it a couple months ago, but we're going to add that into our mix. And then what we really struggled on, and I think we're trying to get ahead of the curve, is I really don't think the fund model is going to be the end all be all. So we're really, really trying to just get an average buyers list. And so like for my dispo guy now, he spends the last 3 hours of every day trying to get 10 to 15 new realtors or regular cash buyers. And so if that compounds, if I can do that 5 times a week, 50 times 4 is 200. Over 3 months, that's 600 buyers. So
like legit buyers too.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. So like we're calling, like they're not adding unless we're calling them and they're telling us what they're buying at what prices and whatnot. So we're trying to do that. Or and I kind of learned this from Gino and Chandler, we're putting a lot on the MLS now. It's kind of like a last resort too. So we use service broker lists, and we'll put anything on the MLS that we just feel like maybe it's in a weird area. Pay $150 and it's on there. Usually they're so quick. I can put it up in same day or 24 hours.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's awesome.
And so we're just trying to have, I truly I will always believe that the person with the best buyers list wins in this business model. So if we can be that company, especially when people have deals that they have no idea to do with, we can always help them. I know it's kind of cringy, dispo companies sometimes, but I've just never been able to help people because I've always just been in my hedge fund bubble. And I feel like, we're just missing out on those buyers that can afford to do that 1, 2, 3 month post occupancy. They can they're fine with those tenants being in there as long as there's a decent rent rate for 2-3 months. They can, because most of the time these people are getting bid out by all the bigger companies, so they're willing to do that. Yeah. So we're just trying to be a one-stop shop for dispo. It's something we struggle. I would honestly say we're struggling with it right now because we didn't have that regular cash buyer component to it.
I think it's underrated. To have that super detailed database. Like you spend all this time on the seller side of the business, and how do you optimize your follow-ups on leads, and how do you set good appointments? How you have blah blah blah, all that stuff. But no one really talks about like the marketing side of dispo. And that's like one of the things too, is like I've been thinking a bunch about and having conversations with people about just kind of like the way to build that up. Because if, let's say, the market does take a little bit of a turn, then you're going to need those relationships that are with the guys who are reliable and who are still going to be flipping, and they have deep pockets, because the funds are going to dry up a little bit in those times, possibly, maybe not. We don't know.
I mean, we're listening. I think we have now. It's changed in the past 2 days. I think we have like 13 properties on the MLS right now. And, I just look at a lot on the MLS because I'm trying to find what I should put mine on for. And the amount of properties that are actually sitting there and doing price reductions, like it's actually happening, right? Like things are sitting there for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I think we have like 22 or 23 listed. Maybe it's something like that. Actually, it may only be 20. I don't know how many it is. But long story short, it's like the same thing. All of our properties are pretty much only getting offers from funds, like institutions. Mm-hmm. And there's like literally almost zero normal offers from retail investors. Or like conventional buyers, or just normal investors. Like there's like they're basically, and why I say that is because we're pricing it at like the market value for the last little bit, and the only people paying that are funds. No one else is paying that. At least majority.
Yeah, we're in that game right now, and I'm sure you've experienced it, where you kind of have to look at the average days on market for a lot of the properties in the area, and that's how you try to, whether you want to be aggressive or not, and see how long you want it to be sold. That's really what I'm looking at on the MLS.
100%. Yeah, but it's hard to use data that's historical in a changing market. I'm sure you're seeing this too. It's like stuff from the last 3 months that's selling isn't really a good indicator of what's going on right now. If you listen,
it's lagging.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely a little bit of a challenge. So I'm sure there will be a bunch of people changing the way they make their offers. Maybe making a little bit of another like percentage drop in there or something. So we'll find out, but we'll see what happens.
I was thinking about going. There's a conference in Miami, and I'm at Collective
the hedge fund conference.
Yeah.
Are you? Go ahead.
It was the same week as CG, so I'm not going to go, which kind of sucks. So I thought about it.
You're at CG now, right?
Yeah. I'm going to Tampa next week, so
like it.
That'll be my first one. But I was telling some people the other day, I thought it was actually funny, and what I have my dispo guy doing right now is they have all their attendees on there, which is pretty much every decently sized single family rental company. It's just on their website. So if you want a list of every single family rental company, go to their website and just go try to find them on LinkedIn. So that's like your best list you possibly can have.
What's the website?
It's like, I think you have to look up like IMN real estate conference. So it's like a single family SFR conference, I think it's called, but they have so many conferences every year, from build to rent to SFR. So I just thought that was
there you go,
cool hidden gem not many people know about.
Yeah, I like that. If you guys are looking for some hedge
funds, last year we were going to go to that. I remember talking about it.
Well, I was talking to one guy that like runs like a pretty big dispo company in Florida, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't even pay. All I do is bring like $5,000 and go sit at the bar and take these guys out for like 3 days." He doesn't even go in, because that's what it's all really about, is trying to connect with reps. So, but I
love it.
There's like that, like the CEO of like Roofstock is having a presentation. Like there's some like pretty high level people. Like it's probably pretty interesting on like what the market's going to do in the next couple of months, and they'll probably know way more than you and I. So,
well, exactly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. If whatever the funds do, follow them.
Yeah, to an extent.
To an extent, of course. But all right, so we got another question. How are the funds offers? Still solid offers?
I'll just say this: we've had to change our MAO a little bit. I'd say it's not like we're getting offers that are $50K less, but we're probably seeing 10, 20K sometimes less. Typically, if it's not the offer, they're probably just being more aggressive on their buy box. Max amount of repairs now, instead of buying at 400K max, they're buying at 365 all in. We just little changes here and there. So
yeah. We're seeing a little bit tightening on the terms. The pricing is still pretty solid, but
terms, okay.
The terms of like, your buy box and your repairs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But it's crazy how quickly they do change them though. Like you kind of have to be on top with your reps to be like, hey,
Yeah.
what's your
Mhm.
updated, like what's going
Buyer's
on?
box or terms, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan asks, what do you tell the seller in regards to listing on the MLS?
So yeah, we probably don't do it in the best way. We don't really even do novations, which we need to get into. But we just put it on our purchase and sale agreement. It literally just says seller agrees to let buyer list property on the MLS, and we put in the special stipulations, and then we put it on there. And a lot of people don't know, but like when you list on the MLS, you can have the option to take it off of websites like Zillow, Redfin, so people don't really see it. But they obviously know. And so typically what we're saying to sellers is we're trying to market it to some financial partners, and this is the easiest way to get out to them. But also we're not telling them that we're the ones buying the property. We try to be a little bit transparent. Say, there's a bunch of exit strategies here. Sometimes we can't buy it, but we pass along to other companies that we have good relationships with. So there's just the biggest thing that we're running into is, and I've learned this from Gino and Chandler, is when you're trying to put things on the MLS, you need to negotiate showings in your offers. And so we just started doing that within the past couple of weeks, and it's helped us tremendously because now there's that expectation that, okay, Tuesday, Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m., we can send in anybody into that home, right? And we try to get like two solid days a week and like 1 hour time slots. And then we'll try to send obviously agents or, the amount of showtime requests that I get on my damn phone anymore when somebody's agent, I can't even read text messages anymore. So we'll just send them, hey, we got these 2 days, 2 showings, and they can make it, they make it. They can't, they can't. So
yeah, exactly.
Like it. But all right. What is the event called? I think you already mentioned, but just hit it again just in case.
It's like the IMN conference. Yeah. IMN
like
conference. IMN.org.
IMN is IMN.
Yeah. And then I think this one is called, this one is called Single Family Rental East. It's in Miami, Florida, May 23rd to May 25th. So I didn't even know about it until like 2 weeks ago, but pretty cool.
There you go. There you go. All right. What about you, Chandler, for the ones you have listed on the MLS? I think I pretty much hit that. It's pretty much just hit that for you as well. I'm assuming I hit that one, right? I hit that.
Yeah. So what do you think? They're.
Yeah, like for the most part, it's like we said, the funds are still offering. If it's a fund property, they're still offering on it competitive prices to what market value is. And this is Atlanta, of course, right? Every market's different. Like I was talking to people in Hawaii, like supply is so low that you can list it for whatever still, and people still pay it. But in Atlanta, where things are a little bit more, normal than Hawaii. Yeah, it's depending on every city. Like some markets are still underpriced, people think, and some places are overpriced. But for the most part, we're still getting offers from the funds at the price we want. Now, if it's not a fund property, those are the ones we need to rethink our potential offers on, because they're just not offering as much. And if it's in like an area that's not like a great area, like let's say it's kind of like in a rural area, then we're not really getting a lot of action. They're not paying market value.
Yeah, exactly.
Not anytime quick.
We have a property in Jessup, Georgia. I don't even know where that is. I don't even know.
Heard of that like once.
Yeah, and so like we got it, and it's like $80K under like market value, and we listed it with, and there's probably, and this is like fully remodeled rental, and it's like 50K under, 50 or 40K under ARV, and I haven't got a single realtor hit out to me. I was like, yeah, some of these rural ones are kind of weird. I always tell my guys, like, if it's rural, we're just gonna put on the MLS, and it's kind of biting us in the butt a little bit. But
yeah, well, they used to go. They used to go quick.
Yeah.
Whenever supply was low. So that just says the market's changing a little bit. So just, you got to be reactive on the front end. You got to be able to go with the market. Otherwise you're going to go.
I think the supply is still low. Problem you got is the demand diminished.
Yeah, exactly. So, supply is still low. They're just killing demand right now. And another thing too, like I think is kind of important to say is like, if the Fed is still going, again, this all revolves around the T-bill, but if the Fed's like saying that, hey, look, we're okay with the market going to pre-COVID levels, we're tightening the monetary policy, then more than likely you can assume that everything's going to like at least slow down there, because the only way to stop inflation is to kill demand.
Yeah. I heard this is kind of random, but I heard a good thing the other day. I was in the CG or whatever. They're talking about the market shift, and they're like, if you really want to go after people that are showing some sort of financial distress, just go after the people with variable rate mortgages. I was like, what are the people that are really feeling it right now? Or variable rate credit card. I know they do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So it was like,
that's actually pretty. I wonder how you find that out.
Because I think I know like even ListSource has type of mortgage, so I'm pretty sure you can just pull a list.
You can. You're right. You can do that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's
a niche list. There it is.
that bill is going up like this for the month.
Yeah, exactly.
How much did you have to work after leaving McDonald's to get your wholesale back up?
It's a good question. I probably had I wasn't like scraping by. I think I had like 15, 20 grand in my account or something. So, because I still did wholesale before. I've done it. I drove for dollars in 2019, so I've done it for a little bit, but it was just, and I believe it or not, I don't even have my paycheck from McDonald's, so I swear I'm getting a lawsuit someday or something because they've withheld that paycheck. I don't know, but I think it was only like $400 or something I made. But yeah, so I had money to spend, but I mean, still spending like $2,000 a month at that time trying to do texting was pretty dang nervous when you still got to pay rent and everything. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
So you were grinding, long story short.
Grinding, yes.
All right, let's see. I'm sitting on 80K, trying to see how to play.
Yeah, that's a lot. Sitting on 80 trade, trying to see how to play for cold call market. I mean, realistically, I always tell people, I mean, you could probably afford 5 to 8 callers and see how that goes. You should probably overhire by like 3 or 4 because 3 or 4 are going to drop. So. Like I obviously do a little bit of coaching on my side, and I have people teach about. I always push them to do cold calling. Typically, I want them to have 3 people up full time, and so they'll go out and hire 6, 7, take the best 3 after the first week if they haven't dropped the other ones, and you have 3 solid cold callers. But I mean, you could go 10, 15 and not even worry about it. So.
Yeah, because some cold callers that cost you like 200, 250 a week if you get them in like South America. So, I mean, just budget that out.
Budget that out. Yeah, that's like $2K a week. I mean, you're at $8K a month. You should have a lot of cold.
Yeah. I mean, that's dang 10 months of, and you're getting 3 leads. Let's say you suck. They suck and you get 1 or 2 leads a day. That's still 10 leads a day from 10 guys at $2,500.
I would definitely pair that up with, texting because everyone responds to the phone differently, so. I know I never would answer a random call, and that's all we're doing is we're thinking about marketing the people we're marketing to. Like I would never answer my phone with a random number, especially with cold calling nowadays. It's very hard not to have a spam number show up. So
how are you working around that, Kish? What is y'all's like high level overview?
We used to submit numbers to try to get them verified and everything, but there was such a delay period for it happening. And we just never find the value in it. So every morning we buy 4 new numbers and 3 marks. So we buy like 12 to 15 numbers every single morning. I mean, we'll buy them and they'll be already marked spam. So in my opinion, it's just like the cost of doing business. Like people are still we still get leads with them. We just, it's one of those things where I can't change it as a business owner. I just have to adjust and recognize that maybe I'm paying more for a lead right now. It is what it is. I mean, every number's probably marked spam within the first 4 hours of us calling anyway. So
and you got since every carrier's got different spam criteria, they're all pretty much marked spam to some carrier. Like this one's AT&T, that one's Verizon, this one's Sprint, that one's T-Mobile. It's
exactly.
None are clean.
But I'm sure it's we don't do texting, but I'm sure you experience. I mean, you guys have so many templates you send. I don't know. Have you seen that you've had to change your templates more or less, or
dude, honestly, I haven't. I'm kind of like I'm in your boat on the texting. I mean, honestly, I have no idea how much they're changing them.
Okay.
But I will say that they do change them fairly often. I'm sure they change them a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a process around it, right? Like, I mean, it's like if they go spam 2 days in a row, then they change the template. Or like spam is like low delivery rate on that template.
Because there's a difference, right? Like with cold calling, if I'm going to call it spam, you're going to know it. But if I'm getting marked as spam and texting, you ain't going to know it.
It just right? This doesn't deliver. So that the carriers block it before it goes. Yeah. So like we just look at delivery rate, and as long as delivery rate's like above 80%, then just keep on running with it, man. Yeah. I think our delivery rate's normally like 88 to like 92.
Wow, that's a lot. That's pretty high. Wow.
Yeah, launch control does good.
Yeah.
Ryan asked if you still do text. I think you already answered that, but
I don't. I should be. I don't know why I'm not. I probably will.
But on that launch control train, baby.
Yeah, I mean, we have like 2 million records. I need to be doing it.
No, you would get a lot of deals that you're not getting.
Yeah, you're missing out on. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow.
But and our cost per deal is how much right now, Chandler?
Dude, I gotta look back at it, but I looked about a month and a half ago, and I think it was about $900 cost per contract.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely gone up.
It's definitely up now a little bit more, but
even 2,500 is good. Average deal size $40K.
Yeah, you get 2 callers, call geeks, and about to get 4 leads a day total, averaging 6.5, paying 6.5 caller. So you're paying what, like? I don't even know what that math is. That's
a lot more than me. Yeah. I mean, that's a problem with agencies. You really just don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a benefit of them managing it for you, but they're being managed by people in the same country. So in my opinion, I'm not saying anything bad, but we just like to manage things. I mean, especially when you only have 2 cold callers, you can go find 2 people in some Facebook groups like the Reva Facebook group or whatever that have worked for Call Geeks or have worked for Phone Beasts. Take ones that already have like 2 years of experience. They've been in like 8 campaigns in real estate, and they're still willing to take $3.50-$4 an hour. That's who we hire. We don't hire just people that respond and used to be in BPO. Like usually I'd say probably out of the 22 that we have, probably 18 have come from other real estate investors or agencies. So
yeah, how are you finding them through like LinkedIn or Facebook groups, or is it just, I mean, obviously it's referrals probably now, but like
it's a lot of referrals. At one point I like owned a family tree, like literally I had a whole family tree, cousins, daughters, dads. Like it was kind of cool.
Kish.com, Ancestry.com, same thing.
Yeah, I probably got tagged in some sort of that, so I'm linked to the Philippines now. But yeah, so we do that, and then Facebook groups have always worked so well for us. But
like work from home South America or like that kind of thing, or is it?
Yeah. So we noticed like differences with like Facebook groups in the Philippines. There's some like real estate virtual. I think it's literally called like Reva. So if you want to look up that group, you'll see I've posted in there a long time. It's been months, but
real estate VAs.
Yeah, something like that. That one always worked well for us. But we noticed like we'll go post that same post in like a South America and we'll get like 0 hits. And so what I did was I went and posted like a flyer. Like, you know how all these solar companies try to hire in Mexico. I did a flyer and I got like 88 responses in Mexico just from changing that.
That's hilarious.
Kind of have to fine tune it and test things in there, but
yeah, every like that's the thing, man. You're just marketing, man. It's just different content speaks to different people in different ways.
Exactly.
So we got a question here. What's y'all's goals for Q3 this year?
I really haven't broken it down by quarters. I should, and I probably will go into CG, but our goal for this year was to do 1.25 in assignment fees, because that would net pretty, like we wanted to net as close to $1 million in profit as we possibly can. So that's our pretty much goal. And if you want to break that down by quarter, whatever that is. So
yeah, I like it. Yeah, for us, honestly, I don't even know our Q3 revenue goal, because we're just focused on the Q2 things we need to do that will set us up for Q3. I mean, it's probably like two something million.
It's going to change, man. It's going to change depending on how good we do the rest of this quarter. But yeah, I think it's, if I'm looking at it right now, like our projection or what we're trying to get. So it's July, August, September, right?
I'm not wrong. I think it's like 2.4.
It's 1.65 plus that. It's 2. million is the goal.
2 point what? You cut out.
2.4, sorry.
Yeah, so 2.4. That's the goal. We'll make it happen. Gino Chandler, do you credit your 40K average deal size mainly to strong dispo, MLS strategy? Now, I'd say MLS strategy is a big part. Other big parts, just the market is great. I mean, we literally would lock it up at a 30K spread. Obviously, having some good dispo sales to get a little bit higher with a strong market. And then, people just above asking. They just always would submit above asking. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to do it at that point. So,
question for you guys is everyone on the MLS a novation for you?
No, most are almost all are not.
Gotcha. Okay. And
we just double close.
When you put on the MLS, do you feel like it sells better, like because of any small thing that you do, whether it's the description, are you putting any keywords, are you putting any, like, are you trying to get the best pictures you can, or is it just like calling investors, here's some pictures from the seller, here's my asking aggressive price, and it works?
I mean, we do some pictures. I wish our pictures were better, to be honest. So I'm plugging in my charger. But, I mean, at the end of the day, look, I mean, I think it is somewhat the description, but I don't think there's much other than that that's really standing us out. I mean, this is a good thing, right? So, Ryan, for you to know, too, since I think, Ryan, you said you're from Atlanta, right? Or the Georgia area?
He lives in Florida now.
Lauderdale. But I think he grew up around here.
Yeah.
So we can target mostly Cobb and Gwinnett, which are the hottest counties, right? So for sure we are able to sell deals a lot quicker there and sell them for more money because they're in those areas, right? So we're also targeting 40K, average deal size to the market we're in terms of market, the counties we're in, right? This isn't 40K in Clayton County.
Yeah.
40K.
It's just like overall, because and also like the marketing doesn't really have to change if it's in a hot area where there's a lot of demand and no supply. It doesn't really matter. So like as things start to taper, like now as things are tapering, this is where we're revamping and working out a system to be like, okay, what are we going to do? Because things we aren't just getting offers in our inbox all day, So like, what's next? And that's probably going to be a bunch of uploaded the entire realtor list. And we're going to start working that. And because the MLS, these people have buyer criteria and it sends it to the email and oh, this property fits your criteria. And it only happens once. Right. And maybe it happens when there's a price reduction that I'm not 100% sure on if it refreshes it to the inbox. So if we can create a way to where we can just send it to them more often, we send text to people, we can just send it every 2 days. here's this property, it fits your criteria. And however we build that out, then that's how we can dial it in a little bit more. And also just, I have a couple of realtor friends who they say cold prospecting people who have bought similar properties and all that kind of stuff. So as things get harder, we'll have to just work harder, Yeah. So, but yeah. And then Terrell asked, are there any active hedge funds in Macon? I think SFR is down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really the only one I know out there. But,
yeah,
for sure. Anyway, we got a minute left over here. So, Kish, what do you want to leave the listeners with?
I guess real quick before we think about that, Kish, but real quick, let's tell everyone our event. If you're in Atlanta, we're having our meetup with Eric Brewers coming into town April 26th.
April. We're going back in time.
Yeah, we're going back in time. We're time travelers actually in May 26th. So it's 10 days away. It'll be in Atlanta. We're going to be posting where the event's at probably today, this afternoon.
Yeah, it's already afternoon, 7 p.m. We need to get that posted.
It's only 1 p.m. in Hawaii, guys. I'm
no
6
one
hours
asked
behind.
where you're located.
But dude, the views is sick though. But anyways, just be there 26th of May. It's going to be 7 p.m. somewhere in Atlanta. So we want you all to come out. Eric Brewer's going to be there. He does 300 deals a year or something crazy. He's absolutely crushing it. Turnkey, wholesale, construction, the whole nine. He's just an absolutely incredible sales guy and business owner. So look forward to having him there and giving some value, and look forward to seeing you boys all there too. So
be on the lookout for that. What are you typing?
Yeah, I was trying to get it. So Kish, what do you want to leave the listeners with?
I mean, we talked a lot about dispo. I would just say whether you're doing one deal or 100 deals a year, I would just just because I love dispo, honestly, try to be 2 steps ahead of everybody else. As we said, we're trying to not just rely on one type of buyer. I mean, there's so many different types of buyers out there. You need to have multiple exit strategies for your dispo, whether it's you or you have somebody hired. Because again, I truly believe the person with the best buyers list will win. If you guys ever need help, either send it to me or Chandler and Gino. I know between the both of us, we have tons of buyers in either Florida, Georgia, Texas, whatever. So we're just trying to be 2 steps ahead. So that's what I'd recommend, because there is something coming. Nobody really knows what it's going to do or when it's going to happen or the extent of anything. But don't get complacent with being a hedge fund person with tons of hedge funds, and you think you can sell everything, because you'll get a quick check.
That's right. I do have one other thing to add to Kish's thing. If you're in Atlanta, Florida, or Texas, and you want to go take pictures of properties, hit Kish up. I see my man posting on Instagram all the time. He needs some boots on the ground, my man.
Yeah, so I got pretty good followers though, because I always get it covered. So I always want other people. So
that's right.
I like it.
I love it.
Sure.
All right, Kish. Appreciate you, my man.
Thank you.
Great podcast.